Have hopped into the game. The map is going to be Cloud Kingdom. Gents and ladies, are you ready? SaSe is duking it out against ThorZaIN, his map of choice. One of the more popular maps as of late. It will be Cloud Kingdom. In the bottom left, has some very unusual play. Can it overcome the solid play of his opponent in game 2? It's Quantic SaSe.
Up there in the northeast as the Red Terran, already up 1-0, looking to potentially close this out. Remember, these are the two winners here of Group B so far. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for EG ThorZaIN.
I will say I noticed much higher pitch screaming for SaSe. Yep, it sounds like there are some people doing cheer cannon impersonations in the crowd.
Yes, they're trying.
There she is. You see SaSe again with this. I think one of the most interesting aspects of SaSe's openings is that he rarely grabs a probe and tells it to go somewhere to build. He just rallies.
Yeah. I mean, ever since, just like he'll rally to an unbuilt Vespene Geyser, drop an assimilator, like you said, rally directly into the assimilator. And you know, I really appreciate that level of play, because if I tried something like that, I'd have 14 probes on an assimilator and then realize, and it'd take me half the game to move those probes out. So, I mean, like, just that thoughtfulness, he dictates, and you talked about, you know, dictating your build and really refining it and finding that level of efficiency. And it's just so obvious that SaSe really tries so hard to reach that level.
Just really the absolute best of the best in terms of optimization. And ThorZaIN, I think, not going to be shy at all. Just, yeah, look, I have all my SCVs in my main. Count them. I'm not scouting. I'm not building a second barracks. I'm just going to expand. And so SaSe has a sort of interesting moment where he can choose to do some sort of unitless expand on 20. He can go for this gas geyser, which it looks like he may very well do. Wow. Yep. Again, wants to be as unpredictable as possible.
I guess so. One of the strengths, no doubt. So here we do have harassment of this building CC. Of course, this Marine comes out and takes care of that. And he will go ahead and build in safety. Hard hat required and all. And now we've got just more Marines heading out here. Now, the window that you mentioned for SaSe is not a large one. So do you think he's going to go ahead with his normal, throw down the Nexus after this? Or we might see something different follow up?
Well, it's an interesting technique that SaSe is doing where he starts a Zealot and lets it get to 60%. And that's when he can see if there's an expand or not. And if he sees it, he cancels it and then builds the Stalker. That way he doesn't actually lose any money investing in a Zealot that can't do much. A Stalker, always useful for denying scouting. So in my eyes, SaSe, I would say 90% going to be expanding right away. And it looks like, yes, indeed, probe heading up and still doing this sort of interesting re-rally without missing a single beat. No 14 workers in one assimilator, Marcus.
And did lose his forward probe here to the two Marines. As it was chasing away that SCV, ThorZaIN just said, well, you guys have a job to do. Went out there, took out the probe. So now this Stalker braves the new frontier of Cloud Kingdom on his own. And, you know, we talk a lot about how that could be a huge victory, killing that initial probe that can continue to do scouting, that could place a proxy pylon. And, you know, you never want to lose it in case it could throw off any of your timings as well. But SaSe just checking the front, sees that the bunker's there, fully equipped. Not sure if he was able to actually see. Yep, he already knows about that anyway. ThorZaIN finally moving his command center to the proper tile now. It's not as high as it was before.
It's not the infamous Android command center.
Yeah. Nope.
So it looks like we do see that ThorZaIN has that bunker up at the front, feeling quite comfortable and doing literally the same thing that he did last game. The double barracks. He had 2 in the gas for a while, and now 3. Will no doubt be following up with another barracks unless he's going to do something crazy and go factory or double eBay. But ThorZaIN is the sort of player who always has a very clear sense of when he wants to do a big attack. Even before the game has started, there's not going to be that much reading going on of the opponent in a lot of circumstances. We see the factory going down for ThorZaIN, so interestingly, it looks like an aggressive drop build.
Yeah, which I actually would love to see. Again, we see ThorZaIN a lot of times really establish his army, get it up, and one of the things even at the last Red Bull event that he worked on is what do I do with these idle units? And one of the things he even identified is that I want to drop more. So I really am excited to see him incorporate this more into his play. I think he's incredible at multitasking, and it just seems to be sort of a natural progression. So anyway, we'll find out if that's going to be the case as the factory is going to be finishing up and the starport goes down right behind it. Meanwhile, SaSe, he thrown down a robotic, actually going with the Twilight Council as the robo's finished. He's getting out his first observer, and there the Twilight Council finishes up.
This is becoming a very popular play, just going for DTs and winning in 10 minutes. That's a very popular play, especially on the North American ladder. Just going for generally fast Twilight Council tech and getting almost all the upgrades, the charge, a +1 armor, 7 gateways, and then going into production. I really think that the Zealot Archon openings have just felt so safe for a lot of players on a variety of maps. So there we see the Zealot legs going down. Because the DTs buy a lot of time, you don't have to spend as much chrono boost on the Zealot legs.
And we are going to have that coming out. The Dark Shrine halfway done. There's the Warp Prism as well. So not sure if it's already rallied over. It is rallied over. It looks like it's rallied, though, to the middle and not necessarily directly into the base of ThorZaIN, which happened last game and unfortunately shut that play down. But the Observer sees everything going on inside of ThorZaIN's base at this moment, including a little bit of the composition. He does have a missile turret out in the front.
Wow.
And it looks like ThorZaIN might mobilize here.
It's so impressive to me that ThorZaIN is doing this all with just 2 barracks. If this army dies, it's really hard to replenish quickly. We do see, 2 Zealots, a single DT warping in, a second DT warping in, and 5 more gateways. Look at this incredible building placement, almost scan-proof. And he is happy to run those DTs right into that mixer and just make sure that he can start picking off as many units as possible. And there in the main, it looks like ThorZaIN might be underprepared.
Yeah, he might be. He's way, way out far in the middle of the map. There's a DT in there as well, and the Zealot did stop that third from going down. 1 Marauder inside. All the SCVs quickly running away from this Dark Templar. Meanwhile, we do see the attack up at the front. ThorZaIN trying to get ready. He is going to be able to move into a natural, and where is the army? The army's in the back. He's going to come in with a nice flank.
Some great force fields, but the unit count fairly low from SaSe in the main base. It looks like those units are still doing some huge damage. Dark Templar still running rampant, and at the natural, it looks like SaSe is pretty calmly cleaning this up. No scans, but there is no DT in sight. He needs to retarget fire quickly, but in the main, it looks like the expansion command center canceled, and we see more Zealots warping in the main as SaSe realizes he has deflected ThorZaIN's push.
Oh yeah, big time. And you had mentioned only having those 2 racks. What is he going to do if that army dies? Well, right now he's finding out. He is being greeted by a bunch of Zealots upon exiting any unit from that barracks, and that just means instant death for any of those units. A few do come back. The SCVs get involved in the wrestle as well, and I think that SaSe has taken this one. DT's continuing to eliminate things inside of his base, and now almost the entire army inside here for SaSe.
SaSe picking off the medevacs. An excellent play. We see more Zealots warping into the main. The DT still doing nice damage, and excellently placed SCV. There's the stim picking off one. The Archon morph to deal with the scan on the Dark Templar. It gets picked off. More Zealots morphing in that unit count station. We see down to 27 SCVs. But ThorZaIN is not giving up yet.
No, he is not. He's going to continue to fight this one out, getting surrounded. Those SCVs getting their hands dirty as well. Another DT to come in, and great timing. There is a scan available, and no, he missed it. He went ahead and dropped a mule, I think, or had a scan at another location, but he's still got a few DTs in here, and you can hear that DT continuing to hack away.
It looks like he will not quite get the Warp Prism. And ThorZaIN is doing a magnificent job dealing with this push, but I mean, the amount of damage that's been dealt is pretty astounding.
Oh yeah, and it's not quite done yet. Still have this 1 DT inside. 38 SCVs have been killed by SaSe.
Wow.
He's established his natural there. Finally, it has been taken out, and things have calmed down just a little bit inside of ThorZaIN's base. but that was phase 1 of the attack. What does he have in store for him in phase 2? There's still DTs out on the field. We've got, of course, the Templar Archives coming down. The 3rd Nexus is being dropped for SaSe. And he talked a little bit earlier, Sean, about the knowing how to close a game. And this is one of those situations, the damage has been done. SaSe should be able to close out this game.
In the main base, we see that there's some pretty high energy going on with this expansion, but not the highest probe count. I mean, in terms of killing off a lot of workers, it's great so long as you can get the lead and maintain it. I mean, if you kill off 20 workers and now you're even in terms of economy, then technically you haven't really done too much damage. And right now, SaSe is going to have to use almost all his chrono to catch up in that regard. I honestly feel the biggest advantage he has is that ThorZaIN has almost no buildings. In the unit counting station, 10 Marines, 8 Marauders, that's it. SaSe can have 10 Zealots out in almost 30 seconds.
Inside the main base near the bottom, we do have a double medevac drop coming in here for ThorZaIN. He is going to do some damage. Immediately we see the probes pulled away. One pylon does go down, but I'll tell you what, every major building he wants to kill is right here in the corner. The Templar Archives go down. The pylon!
Great feedbacks on both the medevacs, but it looks like these buildings are harming more than helping at this point, but SaSe knows how to warp in to deflect everything. He picks off 1, 2, 3 stalkers, loads up, and doesn't manage to escape.
He doesn't. Unfortunately, that did not quite equalize the damage that was done on the other side, but he did power down the gateway, saw everything coming out, and he did stop the storm. So did he potentially delay what could be, you know, a very, very nasty push there with his mostly bio army? Yeah, a little bit. But I'm not sure that it was enough to actually come back and win this game. He has not given up, though. He is keeping at it. We are even on Harvesters right now. He seems to have equalized, and now SaSe beginning to make his move out. He does have a single High Templar, but all he's going to be good for is making, well, maybe feedbacking.
Yeah, I mean, it is true that though Storm is incredible, feedback is much more reliable. It's insta-cast. You can pick off tons of units. And, ooh, SaSe might not even realize that he's missing a whole bunch of his tech structures. It's not bad if a Dark Shrine is unpowered and all dark and cool and stuff, because you can still build Dark Templar, but...
Drops the natural.
3 gateways is going to be pretty significant, especially for a drop like this. SaSe can only warp in 3 units. He needs those other 3 gateways alive to be able to warp in and defend. He can only warp in 2 more. Oh, no.
Yeah, and he's going to have to bring his whole army back as well, not really realize what's happening. In fact, great pickup happening over here for ThorZaIN, but is he going to get
feedback instant?
Well, you know what? Storm was canceled. Talked about how important that feedback was. He got the job done. Nice work, Templar.
What a victory, Templar. Now,
I still can't believe he hasn't powered those gateways yet.
I mean, this is one of those funny things that, you know, you watch SaSe stream, he never does that. But here in a tournament, you know, even if you have a slight moment of adrenaline in your brain going, ooh, what was that? It can be enough to end just make a huge game-ending mistake.
Now he's going to move forward here. There's not a whole lot of army for ThorZaIN. He's going to move a lot of it down to the form of the natural, where he's definitely going to need to battle, but he's got some of the army spread out. It's going to the south. It is here at the 3rd base, but there is a defense of 4 Zealots and a few sentries here.
Oh, no. But with these gateways unpowered, he can only morph in 5 units. It looks like this is going to be a huge abuse. He can just drop in the main. Sure, 5 units can morph in there. 3 units right now. Oh, there's the pylon rebuilding. People clap for a pylon. Oh, thank goodness.
And he is going to drop, pick up yet again. This 3rd base is not having much luck here for ThorZaIN as it continues.
Oh, the big EMPs. Not quite enough to get all the force fields up. But now with ThorZaIN, look at this. Getting a planetary fortress, I would say 90% of Terrans would get an orbital command right now, but ThorZaIN been under such duress all game long. And interestingly, when he was that far behind, said, you know how I'm going to get back into this game? I'm going to get triple upgrades right off the bat. 3-3 instantly. And then I'm going to try to win with a big late game army composition. We don't see any of those Vikings coming up. We don't even see a precautionary 2nd starport for ThorZaIN. And right now, SaSe is just getting the big upgrade lead. We'll start amassing those Colossus.
Yeah, almost.
And might lose a medevac if he's not careful.
Yeah, we do have this high Templar moving forward.
Oh, that's so sick.
There he is.
Picking off a ghost.
Yep. Getting rid of anyone that he possibly can, and why not? ThorZaIN's got some incredible EMP skills with those ghosts, controls them quite well. There's a scan to reveal the entire Protoss army here in the middle of the map. He knows exactly what he is dealing with, but that third base did get up quite late for ThorZaIN, and like you mentioned, going with the planetary route here, it looks like he is up and running now, and well, we see the upgrades continue to pump out here for ThorZaIN, while we do also see 3-3 coming out for SaSe.
I love how one poor Marine tried to warp in, or tried to kill off this pylon. A DT warps in and stabs him in one shot, and the crowd giggles. They didn't laugh. They were like, he's so dead. Oh, drop going down at the third base.
Oh!
And, you know, it's one of those funny things where ThorZaIN has said in many interviews, this is why he just doesn't drop, is if he loses 2 or 3 in a game, he feels like he loses what he could have had won.
Yeah, but you know what? At the same time, the drop did kind of get him back in the game. He stopped that storm, although, you know, it's certainly been kind of like smashing one's head against a brick wall and hoping that, you know, something was going to happen from it, you know, a lever open or a door open or something. But it doesn't matter at this point in time. ThorZaIN is, I'm really worried for him as he engages with this army.
Oh, where the EMPs, it looks like he does manage to get some down. But
GG.
The good game, well played. And I almost would call that a sort of uncharacteristic frustration GG out of ThorZaIN. I mean, the instant you saw all those force fields go down, just good game, done. I'm just getting out. And that, you don't really see that out of ThorZaIN a lot.
You don't, but at the same time, like, he knows how much damage was done there on that initial attack. You know, maybe it was just, well, I am going to go ahead and keep trying, keep going, see if I can find some way to chisel my way in there and actually do something to put me back in this game. And I think at that point he was like, all right, it's probably over and done. But you're right, it's not too often that we see that. Maybe it is just sort of an acceptance of defeat at that point and wanting to move on to the third and final map.
And it's really one of those situations of SaSe knows how to get a lead, but most importantly, how to exploit it. He did the huge damage with the DT warp-in and the Zealot warp-in, and there was a battle in the main for 2-3 full minutes. And then after that, just expands, gets Colossi, defends, expands, defends. One huge attack comes out of nowhere. It wasn't any big risky move trying to close it out. And that's exactly how SaSe is able to perform so consistently. He doesn't throw games away with dumb attacks. And now it looks like ThorZaIN's map choice is going to be Entombed Valley.
Again, not really too surprised to see this coming out from ThorZaIN. Looks like both players are ready. We're going to be hopping directly into this one. Tied 1 game apiece, and what do you expect? Nothing but this out of the 2 players who are currently in the lead in their group. Don't have an update on the other matchup quite yet, but here we go.